Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Thank you so much for tuning in and stopping by my channel. It means a lot to me. Today, as you can see from the title, this is going to be a different kind of a video. This is something that has been going around online in YouTube for the past couple of years, in the past month for the fragrance community in general, in specific. And this is called a fragrance reviewer's tag video. So basically, this is an idea that was started by Lupe from the Lupe Experience. I'm going to leave a link to his channel down in the About section below. And basically what this is he came out with a series of questions that really give the viewer insight as to where the fragrance reviewer came from, how he or she started off, you know, what their first purchases were, basically a little bit about their background, how they got into this hobby. And I was actually tagged in one of these videos by a good friend of mine, Chad. Many of you might know him. He's actually a fellow fragrance reviewer. He goes by the YouTube handle White Spirit Bear. So Chad, thank you so much for tagging me. At the end of the video, I'm going to let you know who I am tagging. And so if you're interested in this video, if you think it's a good idea, I'll also leave a few more links down in the About section below so you can go ahead and check out a few other people's channels. You might hear my dogs running in the background. They're like chasing birds and stuff, so just don't mind that. Please excuse that. But anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get it started, and I'm going to start off with question number 1. So the very first question is, what are your earliest fragrance memories? This question is a little ambiguous to me, only because I have fragrance memories that are not directly linked to a particular bottle of cologne or perfume, so like an eau de toilette or eau de parfum or something like that. And then I also have fragrance memories that are, you know, just smells in the atmosphere and in nature. So basically, my first fragrance memory with an actual bottle would probably be, you know, my grandfather when I was younger. Him wearing, you know, Old Spice, Brut, you know, these type of aftershaves. I know a lot of people here associate like their father, their grandfather with wearing fragrance, and that was certainly the case for me. So when I first started off, it was really with my grandfather, and he would always put it on, of course, naturally after he shaved. So I remember I must have been like 9-10 years old, and I had absolutely no facial hair, but I wanted to shave just so I can wear the aftershave. I wanted to shave just so I can use that as an excuse to wear Old Spice, basically, which is a little embarrassing in retrospect, but that was probably my first scent memory. My first scent memory not pertaining to a bottle of cologne or perfume is probably, you know, when I used to live in Greece, when I was much younger, you know, like 4 or 5 years old. I used to live in Greece, and I just remember, you know, really just having a fascination with the fact that almost everything has a smell emanating from it, you know, and just from being in my front yard to killing stink bugs, and I know it sounds nasty, but like picking up the stink bug and smelling it and just being so surprised and perplexed and fascinated at the same time that it did have a smell coming from it, to, you know, standing in my backyard. I have a couple of fig trees in my backyard in Greece, and just smelling the fig trees with, you know, the humid air, and just really appreciating it, to my grandmother's garden with the vegetables she was growing and the hay that's laying off to the side, and just a combination of the different smells. So that's probably my earliest scent memory. The second question is, what was your first fragrance purchase? Now, this is also a bit of a weird question for me, because I didn't actually purchase my very first fragrance. It was gifted to me. Let me just put it like this. The first fragrance that I acquired was gifted to me. It's either one of two fragrances. It's either CKB by Calvin Klein or Woods by Abercrombie & Fitch. I got those two fragrances at around the same time. My mother is the one who gifted me the Calvin Klein. My aunt bought me Abercrombie & Fitch Woods one year for Christmas. So it's either one of those two. The first one that I bought on my own, that's also tough to say. It was probably Pie by Givenchy. My mother, you know, used to always order things online, but she was never technologically savvy, so I would always help her out with that. And as a means of rewarding me, if you will, she would always say, well, why don't you get something for yourself too? So when she was buying fragrances, one day, you know, I saw Pi, and you know, Pi is a mathematical symbol. It's also a Greek letter. So being that I was Greek, I was like, I am Greek, rather. I said, you know, let me try this out. So I think Pi was my first fragrance purchase, and I wore it all throughout high school. Okay, what was your first niche purchase? Okay, this is an easy one. Back in the day when I first started getting into videos on fragrances, I remember, you know, wanting to find what the most complimented scent was. And I searched up on YouTube, and one way or another I landed across Hero's channel. Now, Hero is a reviewer. He doesn't do reviews anymore. He actually made all of his videos private because of his job, and it conflicted with that and everything. And I remember coming across his his perfected starting lineup video. And in that video, he was mentioning fragrances like Chergui by Serge Lutens. He was mentioning Musc Ravageur by Frederic Malle. He was mentioning Original Santal by Creed. And I remember at the time, I only knew designers. So I was thinking to myself, like, is this guy purposely naming obscure fragrances so people don't criticize his style because they've never smelled them? Or is he just ahead of everyone else? And then I realized, yeah, he's just ahead of everyone else. And I became so intrigued that I found Fragrantica, and I clicked the notes section, and I remember scrolling all the way down to the bottom with like the weird animal notes, and I saw one of the notes was industrial glue. And I remember thinking to myself, like, who would use the note of industrial glue in a perfume? And then I clicked the note and I found all the fragrances, or the fragrance rather, I think there's only one, a Comme des Garçons, which has industrial glue listed as a note. And that redirected me to Lucky Scent, and then on Lucky Scent I bought a bunch of samples. And basically, make a long story short, I got a bunch of samples, and there was one that I was really gravitating toward, and that one was Duro by Nasamato. So that was my first niche purchase, Duro by Nasamato. What was your first blind buy? Yeah, I guess I kind of answered that. That was Pi by Givenchy. I may have purchased a few other scents as well. I remember when I was vacationing in Europe one year, I bought Cuba Gold without knowing what it smelled like. I just liked the fact that it was shaped like a cigar, and it was really, really cheap. So I said, you know what, let me just pick this up. So it was either Givenchy's Pi or Cuba Gold, but definitely one of those two. What was your best blind buy? Best blind buy was Spice Bomb by Victor and Rolf. I remember one year I was always a huge fan of Flower Bomb. I had never smelled Antidote, but I was always a huge fan of Flower Bomb. And, you know, just the girls in my world, if you will, who wore it, I was naturally gravitated to the smell. It's my dog chasing a bird, sorry. Now they're playing with each other. So, yeah, when I found out that they were making the men's version, if you will, I said, I gotta get my hands on this, you know, I gotta be the first one. And I basically bought it online off their official website before it even hit stores, before it even became, I'm sorry, they're just like playing with each other right underneath me. But yeah, basically I bought Spice Bomb on the day that it came out. And I just remember smelling it and thinking to myself, wow, this stuff is amazing. And ever since then, I've just been, hey, shh. And yeah, basically Spice Bomb by Victor and Rolf. Really love that fragrance. What was your worst blind buy? Okay, I've had a lot of pretty bad blind buys, but if I were to say what my worst one is, it would probably be Aldehyde 44 by Le Labo. That was my worst blind buy for a number of reasons. It was my worst blind buy because, well, first of all, I found out that it was being discontinued. What happened is the Le Labo boutique and the Barney's in the city location where it originated from, if you will, was getting closed down. So because that location was getting closed down and it's a city exclusive, or rather it was a city exclusive, they said, well, if that location is no longer there, instead of giving it to a different location, we're just going to get rid of the fragrance completely, which I don't like the discontinuation of scents to begin with. So I said, you know what, this is my opportunity to buy the bottle. Not only that, but with Le Labo fragrances, if you have the bottle, you can always refill it for 20% off, even if it's discontinued, even if it's a city exclusive. So I said, you know what, I never smelled it before, but I know I have to have it, and hey, shh, dude. I said I know I had to have it, and basically I went to the location in Nolita, in Soho, Manhattan, and I just bought it. And I remember going home, opening it up, and smelling it for the first time, and just thinking to myself, yeah, this doesn't smell like anything that I would ever wear. So it's not a bad fragrance. There's definitely a customer base out there for it. It just didn't cater to my particular taste, so I would have to say that that is my worst blind buy, especially considering that with taxes, a 50 milliliter bottle was well over $300. You know, I just kind of regret it. What are your favorite fragrance notes? All right, this is gonna sound like I'm copying Drakdoc, but one of my favorite notes is definitely plum. You know, I love Bond Number 9's Andy Warhol, Plum Japonais by Tom Ford, you know, many other fragrances including plum, and that's definitely one of my favorite notes. I also like fresh notes, kind of in a toss-up between grapefruit and bergamot. I really like grapefruit, like the way it's done in Coach for Men, really like the way that it's done in Jardin du Poète, but I also like bergamot, the way that it's done in Xerjoff's Neo, an Imaginary Authors fragrance, I believe it's Mosaic. But yeah, I like fresh notes. I'm not too keen on aquatic notes, but I really like fresh notes. I also like resinous notes. You know, I really love the smell of benzoin, and I was always a huge fan of gourmands, but the wearable gourmands as it caters to, you know, me, my gender, my occupation, my professional. I shouldn't have done this. Anyway, yeah, those are my favorite notes. Okay, what is my favorite fragrance house? My favorite fragrance house, and it's hard to pick one, it really is. But it would be a mix between a few. I will eventually land on one, but you know, Creed is a really good house. I like the fragrances because they're very inoffensive, very wearable and versatile, and they have this kind of like elegant quality to them. You really can't go wrong with a Creed. And I like the variety. You know, I think they have some really good variety, from more classic smelling fragrances to more contemporary ones, masculine, feminine, you name it. I really love the presentation of By Kilian fragrances, and I like the creativity of Le Labo fragrances. While I'm not keen on that presentation, I really do like not the versatility, but basically the uniqueness and how different each fragrance is from one another. If I had to pick one fragrance house, and you know, I'm a fan of Dior, I'm a fan of Chanel, I would have to probably go with either Amouage or Xerjoff. I would probably have to go with Xerjoff. Reason I go with Xerjoff is because they have everything that I'm looking for in a fragrance. Their fragrances are top-notch, many of which are just incredibly versatile. Fragrances I'm thinking of are like Neo, you know, Modoc. Maybe not so much the Oud stars, but definitely the shooting stars are very versatile, especially the ones that I've tried, even Oroville, and I just think they're incredibly natural, best raw materials in the game, very natural smelling fragrances, and the presentation is second to none. You know, By Kilian and Xerjoff, I really think share the spotlight in terms of who has the best presentation. And with Xerjoff fragrances, the bottles are just really, really classy. And I know they're not the most affordable fragrances, but if you get a chance to smell it, I think the smell and the natural quality of their fragrances really does speak for themselves, and I think it justifies the price. So natural, good variety of different scents. You're definitely going to stand out. You're not going to smell like anybody else, and I think it's a great house. I like what they stand for, and I really like what they're doing, so I would have to go with Xerjoff. What fragrance best describes you? This is a difficult one because I love wearing many different fragrances, but I guess I would either have to say Patchouli 24 by Le Labo or Interlude Man by Amouage. And the reason why I say that is because I think initially, because I'm not, you know, I have to admit, I find myself to be a little introverted, and I'm not really, you know, socially outward, and I'm not, you know, too loud spoken or, you know, too outspoken, if you will. So with fragrances like Patchouli 24, they start off a little harsh or abrasive, and they're not very welcoming. That's a term that I want to use. That's the word that I want to use. But as they start to dry down, the sweetness really comes out, like, you know, the vanilla and the benzoin in Patchouli 24, but also the apopanax and the sweet resins and incenses in Amouage's Interlude Man. So once you get to know me, I think what that is symbolic or representative of, or a metaphor of, if you will, is once you get to know me, I really do open up, and you know, I'm a pretty sweet guy, I think I would say. Let me see. What is your favorite fragrance. I really can't answer this one. I thought about this question. You know, I like many different fragrances. You know, Creed Aventus is a staple for me in my collection because of how well it wears. I really love Untitled No. 2 by Magnetic Scent because it's really warming. It's probably the coziest scent in my collection. And then I also like Spice Bomb. I'm a huge fan of, you know, fresh fragrances too. I don't know if I could say that I have a favorite though, so I do apologize for not being able to answer this question, but I just have many favorites. I love Bois d'Argent. I love Jubilation 25 by Amouage. So, you know, I named a few. Hopefully that suffices. And last, second to last, what is your fragrance profile? Basically, what is it about me or that characterizes me? What kind of fragrances do I like? When I wear a fragrance, I always want to wear something that is appropriate to the occasion. I want to wear something that is appropriate to the occasion, but at the same time, it's something that's going to be an extension of my personality, a reflection of who I am, and a representation of how I'm feeling on a particular day. I also don't want to wear something that's too aggressive or too abrasive, something that's going to turn people off or shy them away or just want them to take a step back from me. So I want to wear something that suits the occasion that I'm attending, is also, you know, relates to the weather or the seasons that we're having. Again, you know, many times, you know, we are in climate controlled environments, so I don't pay too much of an emphasis on that, but it's really what's dictated by my mood. What am I in the mood to wear? So I want to wear something that really represents me and that represents how I'm feeling, because, you know, they say actions speak louder than words. I also think, you know, sometimes smells can speak louder than words. You know, you're initially gravitated towards something that smells good or appealing to your olfactory senses, but at the same time, you're, you know, basically turned off, or you tend to shy away from something that smells bad. So the last one, I apologize for constantly checking my phone. What are your fragrance resolutions going forward? No blind buys. Absolutely no blind buys. Unless it's very cheap, and I'm talking about like $20, $30, then maybe, but no blind buys, making smarter purchases. I know it might be a little too far-fetched to say that I'm only going to be buying 10 out of 10 fragrances. I mean, if it's an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, maybe, but only buying ones that I know I'm absolutely going to love. You know, not buying, you know, bottles of things that I'm going to smell or wear once and then I'm not going to want to wear ever again. So really being much wiser with my purchases, much smarter with my purchases, and investing my money into fragrances that I know I'm going to put to use, ones that I know I'm going to wear and that I'm really going to enjoy. So that's definitely one of them. The other one is just keep doing what I'm doing with my YouTube channel. Try to put out more content, try to develop my nose, try to purchase more essential oils, see if I can come up with my own blends. I've been really toying around with the idea of doing that. And other than that, it's just trying to put out more content for my viewers and trying to make this a channel that is a good balance of entertaining but informative as well. I seem to have been informative, not as entertaining, or at least according to my own standards, but you know, who knows, it is subjective. So last, who am I going to tag? I thought about this. I kept delaying the video. I said I'm going to tag this person, and then that person ended up getting tagged by someone else, and I said, all right, I'm going to tag this person, and then that person ended up getting tagged by someone else. So now I'm going to tag somebody. I know this person has not put out a video in a little bit, I think, but he's planning on putting a video out soon. I've spoken to him personally, and he told me he plans on reviewing a fragrance. That person is Freddy Rivera. So Freddie, if you see this video, I'm tagging you. I would like to know what your history is, where you started. I would like you to be a part of the fragrance reviewer tag video. So Freddie, you know, I'm looking forward to it. So guys, again, thank you so much for watching. It was truly a pleasure and an honor making this video. Chad, thank you for tagging me. Lupe, thank you for coming up with the idea. And guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a message. I will definitely try to get back to you as soon as possible. Also, please don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. I have a lot of new content coming out, so please stay tuned. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Steven with another video from Redolessence. See you soon.